I'm out here at Rosewood Funeral Home and Cemetery. And right behind me is the guy who was aboard the Titanic. Mr. Albert Edward James Horswill Sr. was born on March 26, 1879, West Ham, England. He was the son of Roger Horswill, who was a policeman, and his mother, Mary Jane Prowse. Both were natives of Devon, England, who were married in 1860. They end up having 10 kids, 5 boys and 5 girls. The Horswill family had moved from Devon to Essex, which is just outside of London, sometime around 1869. And Wilbur appears on the 1881 census living with his family at 328 Romford Road, West Ham. Sometime in 1884, Albert's mother dies, and a year later, his father, Roger Horswill, remarried to a woman named Mary Frances Staples. Not much is known about her, besides having a daughter from a previous relationship. Well, Roger Horswill's second wife, Mary Frances Staple, ends up passing away unexpectedly at the age of 35, leaving behind her daughter. Roger Horswill ends up taking her in and raising her. In a 1934 radio broadcast, Albert told how, at the age of 11, he had ran away from home to sail on the Windjammer out of Liverpool. On October 13, 1896, Albert Edward James Horswill Sr. joined the Royal Navy. His first ship was the Impregnable, rising to the rank of able seaman by May 1902. There were also other ships he served on as well until his final naval service began aboard the Argyll in March 1908. Which after he was invalided, reportedly due to hearing loss, as a result of working with heavy artillery, a condition that lasted throughout his life and leading him to wear a hearing aid. Look at this magnificent stained glass or whatever it is on the back of this family mausoleum. Albert joined the White Star Line following his discharge from the Navy and is believed to have made several trips aboard Oceanic as an able seaman, lookout, and quartermaster. When he signed onto the Titanic on April 6, 1912, Horswill gave the address 44 Derby Road, Southampton, in his previous ship as the Oceanic, as an able-bodied seaman, and received monthly wages of £5, which is $6 and some change. On April 14, 1912, Albert was in his bunk when the Titanic hit the iceberg. He immediately got up and got dressed. When the boatswain arrived, he ordered the men to remain in their quarters before returning and ordering them to go up top. Albert ascended to the boat deck and worked on slinging out the port boats before moving over to the starboard side and doing the same exact thing. After this, he was ordered to put a lamp and chronometer in Lifeboat 2, after which he returned to the starboard side, where he was ordered into Lifeboat 1 by First Officer William Murdoch, with the orders to row out from ship and return if ordered. Albert sat rowing at the bow end of the craft towards the light, off the port side of the ship. He maintained that he had no conversations took place with regards returning to the scene of the wreck, or worries about the lifeboat being swamped. He conceded, however, that it would have been perfectly safe to return to the wreck to pick up the survivors, feeling it would have been inhuman to leave them behind. Albert subsequently testified at the British inquiry into the disaster. He continued working with White Star Line until 1913, when he moved to the USA, settling in Illinois, where he would relate to his tale of survival in the theaters to paying audience. By November 1913, Albert married Augustina R. I'll put her last name on screen, I'm not going to pronounce that. Their marriage started out sour for the first few months. Albert ended up abandoning his wife. He found himself in front of the courts in Chicago, where he stated that his income from his warehouse job was barely enough to support one, yet alone two. Albert also stated that he would have been better off if he went down with the Titanic. Weeks go by and both Albert and his wife Augustina made up and end up having 4 children, 3 boys and 1 girl. The family moved to Gary, Indiana in the 1920s, where Albert worked in a powder factory, later as a painter in the steel mill, and finally as a carpenter. He retired in 1946 and moved to Humble, Texas in the 1950s, where he spent the rest of his life. Albert died on April 7, 1962 in the Aitley Nursing Home, Harris County, aged 83, and was buried at Rosewood Memorial Park on April 10th, 1962, the 50th anniversary of Titanic's departure. The song "Near My God to Thee" was reportedly played at his funeral service. And if you're not familiar with that song, it was played by a group of violinists when the Titanic was sinking. It was also reenacted in the 1997 Titanic movie made by James Cameron. Albert's cause of death was cerebral artery thrombosis. I'm probably not even pronouncing that correctly, which means occurs as a result of a blocked artery in the brain. Albert's wife Augustina followed him in death on February 18, 1967, where they now lie side by side at Rosewood Funeral Home and Cemetery. Somebody here left a little message. Hi, we live for the Lord, and we die for the Lord. Whenever we live or die, we belong to the Lord. And something else interesting I found out. Over here is also, I don't know if it's the same family, it's also Horswill. It might be Florence E, and then you got Walter J. They're also this spot too. So I don't know if it's the same family or what, but could be. Maybe, I'm not exactly sure. But they're all synced up in this little area, so it could be. I want to show you a few interesting finds at this cemetery. So we're gonna start off with this massive cross. Oh, this is beautiful. Looks like the company here is fixing up the mausoleum, the door. As you can tell, there's 3 crypts on each side. And that's where the body is placed in. Looks like debris on the ground. There's this really old building, I mean old, on this property in the cemetery. I have no idea what it's used for. You can definitely see its age. I love how all the vegetation is growing on it. It gives you that abandoned feeling. Here's the front. Kind of looks like a chapel a little bit. See if we can peek our camera inside. It looks like it's got boxes, so maybe it has cemetery information in there. I don't know. Still, it's a beautiful old building. Love the bricks on it. I will say this cemetery offers a lot. Oh, there's a hole in the roof right in the middle of your screen. That's not good. Water's gonna start coming in. Beautiful old building, whatever it's used for. goodness, this is beautiful. Wow. This is beautiful. It's a whole section of urns. Wow. I can't get over how beautiful this is. It's a whole lot more urns. And it looks like there's a little private areas, I guess, where they can put a family member. It looks like 8 of them on that wall. Wow. So this right here is Frederick D. Curley. He was a famous American basketball player. He's one of the popular burials that I found on Find a Grave. I'm not going to get too much into his story, but I'll leave it in the video description if you want to go check it out. But that's him right there. Frederick D. Curley. May 19th, 1942, all the way to March 22nd, 2020. I hope everybody enjoyed the story on the guy who was aboard the Titanic and this beautiful cemetery out here in Humble, Texas. Rosewood Funeral Home and Cemetery. It is a beautiful place. There's still so much that I didn't show in the video. It's an amazing place. If you're in Humble, Texas, I recommend come checking out this place. You can get some really good photos, even a nice video of the guy who was aboard the Titanic. Anyways, if you want to check out my socials, they'll be in the video description down below. As always, I'll see you in the next upload.